Wow. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy freaking Wednesday. And yes, it is true. I just opened my knife right into my microphone. Amateur hour. Just kidding. It's the 8 o'clock hour. That's 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And that means it's time for the live stream, baby. That's right. Let's go. Let's go. Guys, what a good day. What a good week. What a busy week. Even in the knife community, it's been a busy week. Some of you may have noticed, is S30V a super steel? Went bananas on Monday. If you know, you know. Channels were asking questions. We may have started a debate, and it's kind of a one-sided debate. We'll get into it. We'll definitely get into it. But before we do, I got to say hi to my people in the chat. What's up? Hey, shout out to Marco, first person in the chat. Shout out to Marco. We got Ghost Malone, EDC, Colby Venable in the house. We've got I'm Me, another channel member. Thank you for being a channel member. We appreciate it. I appreciate it. Shout out to Broke As Knives. It's either Broke Arizona Knives or Broke As Knives. I have a feeling it's a play on words and it's the same thing. Shout out to Josh Branson, Thomas McDonald, another channel member. Ed B in the house, another channel member. Fook Doozle says, evening folks, I can't stay. Just popped in to say hi and hit the thumbs up. Have a great night. Man, thank you for dropping by anyways. I know it can be difficult sometimes. We're on late. I have to do it late, you know? And for those of you on the East Coast, it's tough, right? But that's 100% why we now have a live stream on Saturdays at 1:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time every Saturday. That's easier for people on the East Coast to get to if they want to, right? I thought so. Those are starting to pop off. It's pretty fun. Shout out to Joseph S. in the house. We've got Brian Kerr, another channel member. Chris229 in the house says, what's up, everybody? What's up, Chris? Thank you for being a channel member as well. B. Devious says, this is Sparta.
This is Sparta!
We'll give a Spartan salute to you, sir. Oh, man. We got stuff going on. Stuff is going on. I know. Exciting, right? Stuff. Blessed Knives says, hood evening, Mr. Rollshambo, lurking while watching some Star Trek. Good evening to you, my man. Is this the Blessed Knives that makes the custom knives? Is it? I've got to know, because Blessed Knives has some sweet custom knives. I've been checking them out on Instagram. Shout out to my man, Jim Miller. Thanks for joining in, Jim. You're a legend. Anthony Kitchen in the house, another channel member. What a week, guys. What a week. And for those of you who may have missed it, if you were scrolling through YouTube on Monday, maybe it was Monday evening, Sunday evening, I think it was like Sunday evening, maybe Monday, you may have seen multiple review channels putting polls out there to the effect of, is S30V a super steel? And you know what? I'll raise my hand. I was the instigator of that. I was the instigator of that freaking cluster. And I wanted to talk about it because I wasn't able to go live with Lefty EDC and Knives Fast. One Knives Fast did his live on Monday. I wasn't. I just did not have the time, the availability. I was invited. I watched like the first 10 minutes of it, but initially, like, I started the conversation. We're all in this big group chat, and I started the conversation, and I said, S30V is not a super steel today. And boy, howdy, did that start a storm. You wouldn't believe how passionate some people are about saying, no, S30V is a super steel. Why? No one knows why. Because I guess once upon a time, it was the first I've been told it was the first super steel, but a little bit of research shows that's just not the case. But I have reasoning as to why I'm saying that. And I will, in fact, be going live on Lefty EDC's live tomorrow. So if you watch Lefty EDC live tomorrow, I'll be there. Hopefully I get to see you guys there as well. Hey, shout out to Kathleen Smith. Welcome in. But yeah. So S30V. Do I believe that it's a super steel? No. And I'll tell you why. I don't believe that it's a super steel because super steel is a term. Hear me out. Super steel is a term that defines the upper echelon of knife steel properties, or knife steels that have more than exceptional properties today. And that recency is important. Am I saying that it was never a super steel? Absolutely not. Once upon a time, Chris Reeves Knives got together with Crucible Industries. S30V was born. Is it still a good steel today? Absolutely. You can do a lot worse than S30V. Is it a super steel? No. I've got the data that backs this up, and I am going to share it. In fact, I'm going to do a video, standalone video later. But the amount of arguing that ensued when I said in the chat it's not a super steel was insanity. The level of defense, and I think on Knives Fast's live he said something like, you can't take away a 2-star general's star. Like, Casey, come on, man. No one's taking any flowers away from Chris Reeves, nor should we care either, to be honest with you. For the record, Chris Reeves created that steel so that he could make knife steels and have them be easier to manufacture. That was his whole motivation. He wanted knife steels to be more manufacturing-able. It's not really a word, but I digress. We're using steels now that far outstrip S30V by a country mile. And so, guys, I will go into more in depth in it. I don't want to forget about the chat because lots of good stuff is going on in there, but S30V is not a super steel. We're all welcome to disagree, though. And from my understanding, a lot of people do. Shout out to Mr. Prosthetic. Shout out to Real210. Blessed Knives says, folks don't like progress, hence the MagnaCut hate. Yeah, okay. So I was going to wait to do this, but we'll go ahead and just go over here real quick. Hang on. Boom. Okay. So what I have here is a sortable, comparable sheet that contains every single steel that Knife Steel Nerds has publicly rated. These ratings go from like 1 to 12 in some situations, but the higher the rating, the better it is. Now, there's 3 categories: toughness, edge retention, corrosion resistance. And here's the deal. He rated about 44 steels publicly. He did some more on his Patreon, but that's Patreon only. So here's the interesting thing. If you were to take, say, for example, 10V at the top of the list, 10V scores a 5 for toughness, an 8.5 for edge retention, a 4 for corrosion resistance. You could get a cumulative score if you were to add that up. That would give you a cumulative score, wow, I can't pronunciate today, of 17.5, right? So if you were to go down the whole list and just, total up the scores for each steel, you'll get a cumulative score. Now, if you add up all those totals and divide them by 44, stay with me. I know for some people math is hard. You get an average. That average score is important when we're talking about the logic about how good a knife is, right? Because that average score, that is your mid-tier steel. That is your mid-tier steel. And that's not to say if it's below that it's not mid-tier or that it's budget steel. But that is kind of the dividing line. So if you were to do that, and I did because I'm a freak like that, The average score is 17.3. That is solidly mid-tier. Now, if we were to go ahead and go down to S30V, which is down here, S30V, S35VN, and S45VN, guess what? They're all at 17.5. You can't be a super steel up in here with average scores. They told me we'll let Dr. Laren Thomas sort this out. Who, by the way, never responded to any of our polls, even when we tagged him. So I just went ahead and started looking over his information. He doesn't give a solid answer either, by the way, guys. And the reason why is because super steel is not a scientifically accepted term. It was created by the knife community and used by manufacturers and retailers to drive interest. And in many cases, I think that it's been parroted by us because we want to feel good about spending what is probably way too much on a knife. So, it's easier for us to justify it in our head. Well, it's got titanium. It's got M390. It's a super steel. I feel like I'm trying to convince someone that, it's worth it. Look, we buy knives because we enjoy it. Can I get an amen for that? Oh, yeah. What other justification in life do you need to buy stuff? If you enjoy it and it makes you happy, that's probably good enough, right? So that's kind of interesting to me that here it is, 17.3 is the average. S30, S35, and S45 are all 17.5. Like, they're right there. So, what's the range? Is this definitive? Is this list definitive? No. If you believe something is amazing, that is your opinion and you're welcome to it. I'm talking about this because my name was dropped several times. I swear that Knives Fast should have named his live stream, debating Rollshambo, but he's not even here. It's okay. It's okay. I don't think that they were too egregious. But it's all opinion. Because it's not a scientific term, there is no clear definition for what defines a super steel. And I'm not going to give away the farm because I am actually planning on making an episode that goes more in depth on this. That gets the history. I'm going to dive into blade forums, which, is generally not recommended. But I think that it's a really interesting conversation because it tells you just how people think. And it tells you the level of justification that will go. And it blew me away. One comment, I made one offhanded comment in the knife reviewers chat. I said S30V is not a super steel. And they went bananas. Oh, man. It's me, your local contrarian. Yeah. B. Devious says it all comes down to HRC. I'll give a round of applause for that one. It's interesting. We all prize edge retention. People will say it all the time. My most important knife property is edge retention. Did you know what's more important than a knife steel property to edge retention? Edge geometry. The blade geometry plays a bigger role in your knife's edge retention than the property itself. That's crazy. And that's been confirmed by Dr. Laren Thomas, actually. Ed B says, did someone say bacon? Hey, is there bacon somewhere? Free bacon? Do I have to pay? I might pay. Where's the bacon? Oh, I see. Anthony Kitchen says, I just like bacon and Damascus. Yep, bacon Damascus. I like to share. I like to share of a different perspective. I often find myself supporting sides that have no other supporters purely for the purpose of having an interesting discussion. I think it's easy to pile on to the popular opinion, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the other side doesn't deserve any sort of time in the sun. Josh Branson says, that's what all of this is. It's our opinions. 100%. Joseph Jones in the house, another channel member. Welcome in, Joseph Jones. He says, what's up, everybody? What's good, man? Hey, Jay Scott in the house. Welcome in, Jay. Good to see you. Pretty fly for a knife guy. Good to see you as well. Jim Miller says geometry plus proper heat treat. It's really interesting that you said that. I tried to post this in the Neves Knives live earlier. I go there and hang out while I'm setting up my live stream. So sometimes you guys will see me in Neves live in the chat before I go live, because it's nice to just kind of chill and listen in while I get my stuff set up. But he was talking about how Italian knife companies like Giant Mouse Knives, Fox Knives, MKM, they're dropping the ball hard by producing soft steels. And they know that they're producing soft steels, and they know that the community wants a higher Rockwell hardness on things like M390. Like, I'm sorry, 58, 57, 58 on M390? That's hard. That's hard. Rather, I shouldn't say that's hard, because it's not hard. That's soft. What I meant to say is that that's hard to sell people in the knife community, because we now know that we can get 60, 61, 62. God forbid you get 63 HRC on M390. No one's going to do that, because 63 HRC and higher on M390, while you get ridiculous edge retention, you're destroying your manufacturing equipment at that point. The wear resistance on M390 at 63 plus is really hard on manufacturing equipment. They know that we want it. We're not going to get it. It is what it is. That being said, some people want to know why MagnaCut is so impressive, or why people seem to be so impressed with MagnaCut. MagnaCut is the dream child of Dr. Laren Thomas, who I quote a lot. He did this rating with MagnaCut at 60 HRC. So people look at his rating and they say, well, why did you give it a 5 for edge retention? That's like D2 status. We want better edge retention than D2. What the hell, Laren? I asked him about this, and he says it's that low because I tested it at 60 HRC, which is what I tested all of these steels at. However, if you go upwards of 62, 63, 64 on MagnaCut, you are getting far, far better levels of edge retention. He told me no less than what you get out of, say, like an S30V or M390. So, with all of that being said, there's always a trade-off, right? You have higher edge retention, you're going to have lower toughness. That's generally the trade-off. Corrosion resistance is in the mix somewhere as well. What makes MagnaCut so impressive is that if you look at it, it actually maintains really, really decent toughness. That's a 7 for toughness with what I would call decent edge retention. I would challenge most people to be able to use a steel and not know what it is and tell me if they could tell the difference, if doing 10, 20 cuts, assuming that the heat treat is all the same. Most people could not physically tell the difference. Some of you who sharpen your knives could probably tell the difference in the heat treat based on how it sharpens. But what's impressive is the fact that there is very, very little loss of toughness at the price of edge retention with MagnaCut. And on top of that, it also has extremely decent corrosion resistance. If you were to look at the cumulative score for MagnaCut, it's the highest, 21.5. There's one other steel that is tied with MagnaCut for having all-around great figures, and that's LC200N, also has 25. Not because of its edge retention. Let's be honest, LC200N is not known for its edge retention, okay? It's not. But that's my point. Like, you sacrifice the least with MagnaCut. There is much less give and take. Hey, shout out to Chef Rocky, by the way, channel member for 2 months. And I haven't said hi to him yet. What's up, Chef Rocky? Thank you for joining in, brother. I appreciate you. But yeah, so anyways, guys, this is me telling you I will be doing a standalone video, not just on this live stream, a standalone video talking about what super steels are, how I judge them, and some little known facts about them, because I think that so far what we have is a lot of opinion that's driven by a lot of other people's opinion. And I've spent a lot of time so far researching knife steels, and I need to do more videos on that. My most watched video last year was my Steel Snobs series video on D2. Those videos are really well received. People like talking about it. And I want to make more content that people actually want to watch. So expect more Steel Snobs videos here in 2024. And we're not going to be just talking about individual steels. We're going to be talking about terms like super steels, because that's what people want. The Knight's Edge says the heat treat on MagnaCut needs to be 63. M390 needs to be 62. S90V needs to be 61. Yeah. Oh man, S90V is so good at 61. You can heat treat it higher, but at that point it's just like, but why? You get less, you get diminishing returns on S90V when you heat treat it past 61, because you might get more edge retention, but at a severe cost to the toughness. That's on S90V. Splitting Slices says, I find it interesting that LC200N and MagnaCut are both 21.5. Yeah, so check it out. It's because LC200N scores an 8.5 for toughness and a 10 for corrosion resistance. There's very few steels in the world that have as good of corrosion resistance as LC200N. With just those two categories, it's an 18.5 score. And then you add in, even a 3 for edge retention. LC200N not known for its edge retention. And what you get is 21.5. Let's do this, okay? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let's check out a widely currently accepted super steel. We'll do M390. M390. So check this out. M390 has a cumulative score of 19. Why? Because it scores decently for edge retention, 6.5, 9 for corrosion resistance. If you ever hear someone tell you that M390 is a super steel because of its edge retention, they do not know what they're talking about. They don't. It's decent, but it's not like groundbreaking. It's really good at corrosion resistance. It's okay for toughness. But if we were to go ahead and say, let's do another one. Let's do S90V. I love S90V. S90V is my jam. So you compare these two. Yes, S90V has the same level of toughness as M390, but unlike M390, it has a 9 for edge retention and a 7.5 for corrosion resistance. So it's not as good, but it is still a martensitic stainless steel. And because it has much higher edge retention while retaining the same amount of toughness as a steel that has less edge retention, like M390. That's how you get a score like 20. That's why I would say that, S90V, how can we call S30V a super steel when it's not in this ballpark? It's not M390. It's not S90V. Here, I'll throw it on the table. Let's throw a comparison out there. S30V, let's go. So S30V is a decent steel. It is behind M390 and S90V in edge retention, has the same level of corrosion resistance as S90V, and a tiny bit higher toughness, but it gets outstripped in the edge retention category. What does this equate to in real life terms? I don't know. There's too many factors involved. There's the heat treat, there's the blade geometry, there's so much. But if we're just talking about knife steel properties, here you go. Knight's Edge says 15V is my jam. I like 15V. 15V scores a 10 for edge retention, a 3.5 for toughness, but only a 4 for corrosion resistance. So it's going to be a good steel as long as you don't need it to be super stainless, or if you get it with a good coating on there. like a Cerakoting or a DLC or a black wash or a black sintered coating, or you just take care and oil your blade. And I wouldn't take it out to sea. But 15V is fantastic for edge retention. All right, look at that. I got the chat up on the screen. Look at that chat. Oh man. Speaking of the chat, I'm gonna go back to the chat and talk to some people. Ed B says, looking at the averages, we should all be saving money and buy 14C. I've said it many times. The funny thing is, if you look at 14C and you compare its properties to LC200M, what you find out is they are very, very similar. Very similar. However, 14C is extremely cheap for manufacturers to produce and to actually get the heat treat correct on. That's why we see it on so many budget knives. It's not expensive to manufacture at all. But people confuse the difference between being cheap to manufacture with quality. 14C is amazing if you don't need the super high edge retention. If you're okay sharpening your knife a little more often and you'd much rather have higher toughness and extremely good corrosion resistance, 14C is what I would consider to be a user super steel. And I say that because the one thing it does not do well, just like LC200N, is edge retention. It is what it is, but it's a fantastic user steel and it takes a really nice sticky edge. A shout out to John Blackman. Blessed Knives says CPM 154 is my favorite steel next to MagnaCut. CPM 154 is solid. Regular 154 CM is pretty solid too. B Devia says, so is VanX Super Clean the same as LC200? I'm confused about the two steels. All right, we're going to go back here. Let's do a quick overview of VanX and LC200N. Let's do it. I started this conversation. We might as well go down this rabbit hole together. So VanX and LC200N. So check this out. VanX it's a pretty good steel all around. VanX is going to have the same amount of corrosion resistance as LC200N. It's going to have better edge retention, but not as good of toughness. Now, on something like a folding knife, unless you are one of those who likes to spine whack or baton with your folding knife, the level of toughness is not super important to me on a folding knife that I'm not hard using. 5 is more than adequate as far as a rating, as far as I'm concerned. Most people aren't going to see an issue with that just for their everyday tasks. Now, if you beat on your knives, maybe you do want more toughness. I don't know. But it does have better edge retention. So where LC200N kind of falls by the wayside to VanX is VanX actually has what I would consider to be a significant edge on edge retention. It scores a 20.5. LC200N scores a 21.5. And if we want to get lost in the weeds here, we can. The big question that I have on these ratings is how do these ratings equate to real life? As a user, can we even tell the difference between something like a 5 and an 8.5 on toughness? I don't know if we can with the regular, folding knives that we use, but the numbers are there and the scientists have actually done the research. So if we really do care about things like this, then we have to assume that it means something. Splitting Slices, welcome in, man. He says, hey, Rollshambo, what is the score of 14C28N? It's going to be very similar to LC200N because they have very similar properties. So check this out. The score for 14C28N is 20.5. And that's because just like LC200N, it has really high toughness and really high corrosion resistance. And they're rated the same for edge retention. So 14C28N is essentially a budget version of LC200N, and only a budget version because you can get it on really affordable knives. Not because it performs any less, but just because you get it more affordably than you get LC200N. LC200N has slightly better corrosion resistance, but honestly, at that point, like 14C is a really good stainless. LC200N and Vanex just have the edge on it for corrosion resistance. Hey, shout out to Bangkok Mark. You joining in from Thailand, brother? What time is it in Thailand? I'm curious. Man. All right. I'm trying to catch up with the chat. I know I've missed a lot, so I definitely appreciate you guys hanging out with me regardless. Chef Rocky says, M390 is my favorite. Fight me. If you look, M390 is fine. I just want, you know what? I don't have a problem with M390 between, I would say, 59 and 61 HRC, honestly. For my regular, like, would I like to see 60 to 63? Yeah. 100% I would. But for my use case scenario, you know, even at 59, M390 still does a pretty okay job. Blessed Knife says you can tell if you're cutting wire. Isn't that what wire cutters are for? Wait, don't shame me. Don't shame me. Use your knife. Just kidding. Just use your knife. But if I was cutting wire, I'd actually want, I'd want something like MagnaCut. I'd want the most edge retention and the most toughness. That truly is a beautiful thing. It's interesting. I've been watching a lot of Dr. Laren Thomas's videos lately, and something that he has talked about is the fact that when it comes to how a knife performs and how it holds up in general, all of those properties, edge retention, toughness, and corrosion resistance, play a role in how well the knife will hold up in something like an abuse test. Like if you ever watched Forged in Fire, I never thought of it in those terms. I never thought of it in terms of, hey, the corrosion resistance and the toughness and the edge retention all play a role in how a knife would hold up in something like a torture test on Forged in Fire. It's crazy, man. Me says, I like anything that works. I'm not saving the world with my folding knife. I dig it. John Blackman says, what about 154 cm steel? I mean, if we're going to continue the comparison, might as well. 154 cm is going to score a 15. This is what I would consider to be a mid-range steel or a mid-tier steel. 3.5 edge, 3.5 toughness, 4.5 edge retention, 7 corrosion resistance. Cumulative score of 15. But to give you guys some perspective, if I was to do, say, like 440A, if we were to add 440A to that, same thing, 15.5. That's actually a mid-tier steel. 3.5 toughness, 3.5 edge retention, and 8.5 corrosion resistance. A budget steel, like, for example, D2. D2 is a budget steel. D2 scores a cumulative score of 13. And that's because it doesn't have particularly high toughness. It does have a mid-tier range edge retention, but it's also not a stainless steel. And that's why it scores so low, is because it doesn't do anything really well. It does one thing pretty decently, and then the other two things kind of not great. So that gives you an idea. Like, remember when I said 17.3 is going to be your mid-tier score, your mid-tier average. I'm going to put everything back on. There we go. By the way, guys, in case you were interested, channel members have access to the channel Discord, the channel members only Discord. So check this out. Channel members only Discord. And if you want my knife steel comparison sheet, which takes all of Knife Steel Nerds or Dr. Laren Thomas's knife steel ratings, if you want your own copy of this, if you're a channel member, you can get it. channel members, if you go to the channel Discord, you'll see that one of the sections in here is called Steel Snobs Comparison. And then here at the very bottom, I uploaded it. So if you want an easy way to sort through the knife steels and look these things up for yourself, it's yours. I did the work of just compiling it and making it sortable so that you can compare steels against each other, however many you want. The information's all there. So you can get it. You know what else you can get is you can get in on the pocket checks. What did you guys carry today? We kind of skipped this part. What did you carry today? If you want to know what was in my pocket, it's Wednesday. It's Wharncliffe Wednesday. So I carried the Warntack. Warntack for Wharncliffe Wednesday. Love this knife. I don't think you can buy these anymore. They sold out, and now Precision Knife Works, they're focusing on like an American-made version. Shout out to Precision Knife Works. That's fantastic. But this knife was very nearly my knife of the year for 2023 for so many good reasons. Really slicey, excellent action, T8 hardware all around, single-sided captive pivot, jimping that makes sense. Yeah, can we get some sensible jimping in here? It's so good. Not only that, I also carried this. And this knife is probably my most carried knife in January. This is the TPK exclusive Hedgehog. And I'll tell you why this is my most carried knife. Because it fits in this little leather slip that I got from my buddy, Duty's Daggers. He made it for me. It fits in my fifth pocket. So like I take stuff in and out of my pockets all day. You know what I never take out? This. And I've used this knife so freaking much. So much. For the little tasks, you know, opening up little boxes. I receive boxes all the time. Opening up containers of food, you know, cutting loose threads. These slip joints are perfect for that. And you want to talk about cutting geometry. Quite possibly what is some of the best cutting geometry that I've come across. It's great for the EDC stuff, but I also carry, you know, the regular knife. If I need, you know, if I only want to open a knife one-handed, boom, there it is. The Warntack. This is what I carried for Wharncliffe Wednesday. What was in your pocket? And channel members, if you want to show off pictures of your carry, go on over to the Discord and upload a picture. We're going to go ahead and show off some of these pictures that have already been shared. Let's see. So this is one that I have to shout out. And I believe this was from Ed. Is that Ed B? Check that picture out. That picture is so satisfying. Look at all of those corvids. I love how we have the edge of the corvids that is literally lining up perfectly with each other. And then you have like the little mini corvid, the, you know, a slightly bigger mini corvid, the Corvid M+. Is that a large corvid? And then the Corvid XL? I don't know. But I love how you have all of them right there and they all line up with the tip. That's fantastic. Shout out to Ed for that picture. Jim Miller in the Discord says Wharncliffe Wednesday carry the sencut Wataga. I don't know how to say it. The Artisan Sea Snake CJRB Mini Pyrite. We're halfway there, friends. Nice. I like that. And you know what? I like that pouch too. I like that you're getting some use out of that. So many people have pouches and they don't really do anything with them. So it's nice to see some pouches getting some solid use. Nice carry, Jim. Mark P. Ooh, with the Spartan Harsey folder. Beautiful knife. Absolutely beautiful. And that's the Plague Doctor version. Love that. That's beautiful. I've got to get a Spartan Harsey folder one of these days. I reviewed it last year and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. The Plague Doctor is I would say it's top 3 as far as the design goes, because you can get them with all kinds of designs on the handle scales. The one that I reviewed was a loaner from a friend, And that one was the Join or Die Spartan Harsey, which I love that knife. But I don't want one in Damascus. I want one with the S45. I think the Plague Doctor would definitely be a good way to go. If you like a more classical American design, that is definitely one to check out. Joe6623 in the Discord says, I got the Yojimbo, the Clydesdale for today's Warning Wednesday. I'm doing a USA carry all week with Kev and crew from Duty's Daggers. Each week we pick something and you got to carry all week. This week it's USA made. Last week was slip joint. That's cool. I like that. Absolutely. So yeah, channel members, if you want, feel free to hop in the Discord. If I see that you post something during the live, I'll go ahead and shout it out on the live stream. B. Devious says, something more confusing is why Damasteel is much more expensive. Is it better than S90V, MagnaCut, or M390, or Vanex? Or is it just for looks? So it has a lot to do with what you have to do with Damascus style blades. So for example, with Damascus style blades, you have to, and Damasteel is Damascus. It's just a certain specific blend of herbs and spices. Think KFC. So Damascus steel is several different steels that's been molded and forged together, right? So it's not just a single steel. It has to be folded however many times in a certain way to get a certain pattern. And then after you forge it, you have to dip it in acid to then get the pattern to show. That's why there's so many different Damascus patterns. So it is much more intensive on the manufacturing side, but also because it is only manufactured by one company. Like it's what is it? Like copyrighted or patented? There we go. Patent pending. I don't know. One company is allowed to make the specific blend that makes Damasteel. I know that, what is it? RWL 34. I might be thinking of Damacor. I get the two mixed up if I'm being completely honest. But it has to do with one, how like the level of extras you have to do to get it. And then also the controlled price from the company that makes Damasteel. That's one of the reasons why Damasteel knives are so expensive. But also they look fancy. Like let's keep it real. Damasteel looks fancy. There is a difference between Damascus and Damasteel. It's like the difference between, squares and rectangles. All squares are rectangles, not all rectangles are squares. Same thing with Damascus and Damasteel. Hey, shout out to Todd Carr, member for 6 months. He says, awesome live as always, Rollshambo. Thanks, Todd. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for supporting the community. Hey, and shout out to my man, Dang Ross, channel member for 4 months. Give you fellas a Spartan salute.
This is Sparta!
Thanks, guys. Definitely appreciate you. All right. All right. So I've been trying to avoid looking at knives because every time I look at knives, I want to buy one. Oh man, knives are so bad for my wallet. I'm sure you guys can relate. Let's see what's new over at White Mountain Knives. And by the way, if you're over there and you want 10% off, feel free to use my discount code. That's RSB10 for 10% off. But what is this? Blue Minotti Ninja coming in hot with the 5 gifted memberships.
This is Sparta!
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Blue, thank you, man. I was wondering if I was going to see you today. I didn't know. But thank you so much for your generosity, man. That is so generous. Too generous. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you show so much support for everybody. But I 100% appreciate it, my friend. And let's see. something that is long overdue. Give a round of applause for our latest channel moderator, Bluminati Ninja.
Certified badass.
Blue, thank you for all that you do, not just for my channel, but for everybody's channel. You're always in all of the live streams, supporting, showing love, hitting up the chat. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. It's about time we give Bluminati Ninja his wrench, the mechanic. Bluminati Ninja is now a channel moderator.
Certified badass.
There we go. I kept hitting the wrong sound effect. Round of applause for Bluminati Ninja. Hey, shout out to Dion Page. Welcome in, man. It's been a minute since I've seen you. I know you've probably been lurking in the background. Good to see you, Dion. Welcome in. Ghost Malone says, Bluminati is always showing support on so many channels. It's true. It's true. Dang Ross says, hit me with the timeout to break the wrench in. It's like, hey, Dang Ross, you know, congratulations on being a channel member for 4 months. And now you're in timeout. Don't do that. Don't do that to Dang Ross. Unless he starts acting out of pocket. You know, if he goes in a little too hard, Blue's got the all-powerful wrench now. Tori Casey says, Knight's Edge carried my microburst today. Great medium-sized knife. Great action, buttery smooth. Feels great in hand. Well made. Really good lock bar access. Dude, the microburst is pretty decent. I think a lot of the Tempest knives designs are actually highly underrated. Did you know that the Fractus pre-order is almost here? The Fractus? Oh, man. You know what? Let's just do this. TempestKnives.com. There it is. On the 2nd. What is that? Is that Friday? Yeah, I think that's Friday. The one that I know everyone's going to go for is this one with the blue Arctic Storm fat carbon fiber. I know that this one's going to be great. I love the fact that we get this beautiful 50-50 finger choil on his prototype, which I'm hoping to review. I'm on the list to check it out on the pass round, but I'm seeing that inlay is really well done. We do have what I'm assuming is a hollow grind. And then I like the fact that we get an inset fuller with partial deployment hole. That looks great, guys. This could be, and I told Knives Fast this. I said, dude, this could be your best release yet. I love it. And trust me, like, no one's paying me to say this. Casey from Knives Fast will loan me a knife. He's not out here giving me knives to give him good press. But from everything that I've seen, and I've seen some behind the scenes videos from him, this knife is going to be really good. It is a pre-order. He's already placed the order. He placed the order like 2 weeks ago. So it's not one of those things where you have to wait for the order to be placed. And they're saying that they're going to ship him in May or early June. So what? Like, we're out 4 or 5 months? Now, I don't typically do a lot of pre-orders, but this one is calling my name. I really like what he's got going on here. I think that this could, in fact, be his best release yet. So, yeah. Exciting stuff for Casey. For Knives Fast, for Tempest Knives. You know, shout out to him. I know he doesn't watch my live streams, but got to give credit where credit's due. That's nice. T8 on both sides, cage ceramic bearings, and race washers. All other screws are T6. Come on, Casey. We'll forgive him. We forgive everybody else. We'll forgive him. and not everything has to be T8, even though I wish that it was. Kevin C says, got opinion, and dang, it's sweet. Opinion's fantastic, man. Hey, shout out to Double D. Welcome in, man. Good to see you. You've probably been in the chat. I've been missing chats all over the place. Bluminati Ninja says, never done pre-orders till Casey and Loot both killing it. Loot, you're talking about New Breed EDC, the Clydesdale. Clydesdale's so good. So good. I wonder. New Breed EDC. Does he have any for sale on his website right now? Or did they all sell out? No, he does. Very nice. Yeah, the Clydesdale. I reviewed this one too. This one's fantastic for everyday use. It's not overly expensive. It's 14C in titanium. It's modified Warncliffe. The balance is perfect. It indexes so nicely in the hands. Ergos are great. Very, very slicey edge geometry. OEM is Kubi. Kubi has been doing a great job. Love the Clydesdale. Absolutely. All right. Let's see. I'm going to go back to White Mountain Knives because I always start here. But what's coming soon at White Mountain Knives? I keep seeing this one. It's a civivi Cairo. I don't know how to say that. Look at that. What would you call that? Would you call that a batwing blade? Is this Batman's budget knife? If I end up reviewing it, that's going to be the title of the video. Batman's budget knife. It is cool. That is cool. It's got the grooves. It is telling you where to put your fingers, but I'm sure that it's fine. I'm sure that's where you would normally put them anyways, right? I wish that they gave us an insert. Like, don't leave an ugly hole on this handle scale. Like, I get it. It's great that we have a left-handed option, but put an insert right there. Like, you milled out the G10, just, screw it back in. Nobody wants to see that. Come on. But pre-order for that is going to be February 7th. I don't know who's like, I've got to pre-order this $60 knife. Do people do that? Do people pre-order $60 liner lock knives? Is that a thing? It might be a thing. I'm not seeing a whole lot of like new stuff. That's too bad. All of this is stuff that we've checked out many times before. Yeah. What about new stuff? What's in the new category? Check this out. The Mech Force Alpha Hunter. Green micarta. I mean, obviously, I think they sold out because they're not available there anymore. But the Mech Force John Graham Ringed Rhino, that one's still available. They must have dropped these and they sold out, I'm assuming. Just in case I'm wrong, we're going to go ahead and have them notify me. And if I am wrong and they haven't dropped them yet, I'll let you guys know if they do like a random drop on White Mountain Knives. Let's see. Why does it do this? I already looked at this page. Go forward. Okay. Is it just me, or does this one look like a Bob Terzola design? Like, is Gonzo ripping off Bob Terzola? I gotta know. That blade shape is very Bob Terzola-y. $55. Not bad. I'm not seeing anything that's screaming my name. That's too bad. I was really hoping they might have something that got the blood pumping. There is a company that I want to check out more products from. It's Katsu. I believe that they're a Japanese company. I could be mistaken. Their knives could be made in China and they're just Japanese designs. But I want to get one of these. So this is like a poor man's. This right here is basically a poor man's Rockstead. Check this out. Like, am I wrong? Am I far left field here? Look at that. ZDP 189. Convex blade grind. It's like they said, you know what? We're going to do our own version of a Rockstead Higo 2, but we're only going to charge $269 for it. This is one that I really want to get my hands on. I reached out to Katsu. They never got back to me. I know. Shame. It might be one of those where I just have to pull the trigger. But that looks fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. What's the heat treat on it? I know they mentioned it in here. It's 17 layers of ZDP 189. That's got to be some samurai stuff right there. Like samurai swords, the katanas, those bladesmiths back then. They had so many layers of steel. If you know, you know. But that's kind of what I get at as far as the feeling is concerned. It looks really good. I think it's like a 66 HRC. I could be wrong. I don't think that it's as high of a Rockwell hardness as, obviously, as high of a Rockwell hardness as Rockstead. Are they made in Japan? I gotta know. I actually have one. I have one that's not necessarily really that great. This is their JRF01. Does it say made in China? Does it say made in Japan? No, it just says D2 on the blade. Crying shame. This is a $50 knife. It's okay. But I'm being told that their more premium knives are really where it's at. It's really where they turn up the heat. And I want to find out. This knife is kind of holding me back from it because I'm not impressed with this knife. This is a Higo Nakami, or I know I'm killing that pronunciation. But this is a classical knife design. I'm just not impressed with it because for $50 these days, you can get something much nicer than this. But on their premium one, the ZKO2 with ZDP 189, I've got to check this one out at some point. And they have other ones that look good too. Like, for example, they do ZDP 189 on others. So here we go. Where is it? Yeah, so you can get a more basic one. $229. Shoot, guys. Super tempting. They have limited editions that look fantastic. DLC coded ZDP. $400 though. But it's limited to 40 pieces. It says discount is not applied to this product. I could tell. It's $400. Damn. Todd Carr says, isn't Katsu a Chinese brand? I thought Katsu was Japanese. I could be wrong. Let's find out. Will they tell us? Will they tell us? All right, says at Katsu, we cherish the rich traditions of Japanese blade design. That doesn't tell me where it's made. We take pride in delivering innovative, high quality. That's blah, blah, blah. They collaborate closely with renowned Japanese master bladesmiths such as Tomoyuki Nemoto and Nakayama Hidetoshi. They do manufacture in China. It says right here, Yangjiang, China. So I'm bummed that they're not made in Japan, but I'm also not terribly surprised. The manufacturing is just cheaper in China. So that's where they're going to go. But looks like it's Japanese designs made in China. Everything's made in China. You can't escape it. Your phone's probably made in China. My phone's made in China. You look at American vehicles, Chevy, Ford, Dodge, Jeep. Look under the hood. The parts are made in China. It's a damn shame. Hey, shout out to Craig Vincent. Craig joining in late, brother. And shout out to Crazy Roach. Tori Casey says, yep, Katsu made in China, yep. Luke says, have you ever tried a Hank Light roll? I haven't. Hank Light. What are Hank Lights? So it's like is that a certain, it looks like it's a certain flashlight. No, I haven't. I have not tried a Hank Light. I'm getting sent so many flashlights, guys. My channel is overwhelmingly a knife channel, but it is EDC. And so I had a couple flashlight videos that did well. And now I'm being inundated with flashlights to review. So if you see flashlight content, it's, you know what? People watch those videos apparently. And they've been successful enough where companies want me to review their flashlights. And I'm happy to do it because flashlights are actually really interesting. So if you see more flashlight content on my channel, that's why. We're getting that rolling here in 2023, 2024. Gosh, I got to get used to saying 2024. Josh Branson says, Roll, I'm sorry, but I'd Bruce Wayne the shit out of that Chiro. Hey, dude, does that mean you'd love to carry it or that you like the design? I guarantee you that if I were to go, all right, civivi Chiro, I guarantee you that if I review this knife, my comment section will be filled with, thanks for the review. I don't like the blade shape. I guarantee it. Without a shadow of a doubt. I know that there's going to be a select crowd of people that like this. And believe it or not, I'm actually one of those people. I like interesting designs. I like things that are more than just drop, point, regular, tonto, sheep's foot. Like, I like knives that are different. That's my thing. Check out, like, you guys have probably seen my videos. Like, you know, I love that. Like, for example, this is a good example of that. Love this knife. This is a $500 American-made button lock. It's the Chapman Lake Knives CLK2D. Fantastic. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. The civivi Chiro, the Cheerio, it looks like a batwing blade, and I like it. I know that if I review this, we might as well say when I review this, my comment section will be filled with thanks for the review. It's not for me. And that's fine. I just already know what it's going to look like. Tori Casey says Beard of Doom is coming out with a big old gnarly folder, wicked looking by Katsu. Really? Now that's not something that I knew. I knew he was coming out with the one, the Soul Stone. That's not the same one that you're mentioning though. I don't think. Jim Miller says, Rollshambo, leave the damn flashlight stuff to Lefty. It's too late for me, Jim. I can't turn back now. I'm already in too deep. Bangkok Mark says, Rollshambo, Google Batman knife. It's going to come up with that one. It's going to come up with that one that, was it Reich that made it? I know that Metal Complex had a big review on it. Batman knife. Yeah. Oh, man. That is the double folded bladed knife. I don't often hand out the gas station knife moniker, but this is definitely that definitely takes it for the gas station knife. I wonder what steel they use. Let's find out. Let's see. What steel? It's probably gonna be like stainless steel, surgical stainless steel. Does it tell us? What kind of steel is it? The brand is SM Group. Quality. Known for their quality, I'm sure. What? It doesn't even tell. The blade material is, I called it, it's stainless steel. Like 440A stainless? What's the HRC? Oh, man. What a day. What a day. Hey, shout out to Edgy American in the house. Edgy. Shane. You came in right at the end of the live stream, brother. You know these go for an hour. And we've been live now for an hour and 6 minutes. So you know what that means. Guys, it's been an hour. I've taken the hour. I'll be back though. I'll be back tomorrow on Lefty EDC's live. We're going live. And he's probably going to roast me for my opinion saying that S30V is not a super steel. It should be a good time. I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to join Lefty on his channel, on his live tomorrow. So if you want to see that live, check out Lefty's live tomorrow. That's where I'll be around 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Check it out. To everybody that's joined in the live tonight, thank you so much for supporting. Thank you to everyone who is channel members, for everyone who gifts channel memberships. Thank you to Bluminati Ninja for always supporting everybody. That's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your week. For some of you, I'll see you soon. For everyone else, I'll see you later. Have a good rest of your night.